gay. Where was all of that? Fight, fight, fight. That fighting spirit for that black woman who was the president of Harvard University. I don't know. Maybe I missed it, Doc. So I'm looking to you to tell me that I absolutely missed that. And then the Altadena Eaton Fire, 100 days and counting. And so we know today is the day. This Wednesday, April 16th, is day 100 since the wildfires erupted in Altadena. And we're asking you to join us this day. We've been announcing it all week, Doc, but today is the day. There's going to be a live nationally broadcast from our very own KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall as we commemorate this fateful day and in remembrance of Altadenas and embrace this beloved black community. As our ad said, the black Wakanda here on earth. Yes, it is. And we will be giving away air purifiers and $100 gift cards to survivors. So please come out, join us tonight. Yes, tonight. And that is between 4 and 6 p.m. Pacific time for our town hall, Altadena Eaton Fire, 100 days and counting. Now, this event is free, but you must register, and you can register at kbla1580.com. That is kbla1580.com. Like, we're going to talk a little bit about that fire, what's happening in that community, the resilience. You always talk about black resilience. It is on full display at all times. Before we get to any of that, and we probably sprinkle some other stuff in there as well. Y'all know how Dr. West and I do it. Before we get to any of that, Doc, what is on your heart, your soul, or your mind on this day?
Well, my dear sisters, a beautiful thing to sustain our smile in the face of all of this sickness and all of this cowardliness and all of this hypocrisy. I think we had to be very, very honest about the truth of Harvard and the truth about Harvard. Harvard's very motto is veritas, which is truth in Latin, right? And so to talk about truth, you have to be truthful about yourself and then truthful about society and the world. Now, I applaud Harvard in terms of its second attempt to engage in responses to Trump, because it does say, lo and behold, we want to preserve our independence. But we got to keep in mind, Harvard initially capitulated. They told, what did they do? They fired two professors who was running their Center for Middle Eastern Studies because of Trump. They paused in their relationship with the Palestinian University, which and 13 of them have been abolished, and no university president, let alone Harvard, Princeton, or Yale, have said a mumbling word. And they said, no, we won't work with that Palestinian university. We'll work with the Israeli university. They then accepted the narrow conception of anti-Semitism, which means criticisms of vicious Israeli occupation, vicious Israeli genocide against Palestinian brothers and sisters, can still be viewed as anti-Semitic. Harvard accepted that in their capitulation to the Trump demands initially. Then the Trump administration sends a letter and tells Harvard, we want an audit, an independent committee that we run, making sure there's diverse viewpoints in your classes, in your faculty, in your curriculum. And Harvard said, that is too much. Rightly so. We give Harvard credit there, but they initially capitulated, just like most of these law firms, just like so much of corporate media. And so we don't want to make Harvard somehow some grand vanguard institution that's leading the fight for freedom. That's a lie. All you got to do is look at how they treated Claudine Gay. You can look on how they treated myself.
Yeah.
Anti-Palestinian racism running amok. Harvard ain't said nothing, wouldn't do a mumbling word. Anti-black racism. We had students walking across Harvard Yard getting harassed. Harvard ain't made no major effort. Now, all of a sudden, they saying they on the cutting edge. No, Harvard is like any other American institution that wants to too often act like they've got principled opposition to fascism, when it's really a strategic move so that they would not be humiliated. And the Trump administration went too far in the authoritarian oversight of every class, every faculty member, every curriculum. No university would accept that kind of wholesale oversight. There's no doubt about that. So I give Harvard some credit, but not a whole lot of credit. And all of this fetishizing of Harvard, like somehow they taking some principle stand. It's like they reread Malcolm X last week and got this spirit of resistance in there. So not at all. They concerned about their money. They concerned about their status and reputation. And when it comes to courage, I wouldn't say it's courageous. I would say it's strategic. That's a little different. Courage is tied to magnanimity, fortitude, principle. Harvard is a strategic move. Trump overplayed his role, overplayed it, and said we went. Harvard says, Trump, you went too far. We would have accepted something if you hadn't gone too far. And that accepting something is capitulation. Now, Brother Roth of Wesleyan, president of Wesleyan, that's different. From the very beginning, he had principled opposition. I give him full-scale credit. That's what courage looks like. Look at Brother Roth in Wesleyan University versus Garber at Harvard.
Well, look at President Roth at Wesleyan University for real courage, not shadows of courage. Like you hit the nail on the head. It was all about their money. That was a bridge. That money was a bridge too far. Not the former president. Not all the things they wanted them to do before they said we want to take over everything. That's and certainly you bringing up what happened to you. I mean, it was just an outrage what Harvard University did to you. And I'm thinking like thousands of other people, not the Dr. Cornel West. We know you didn't. Oh, yeah, they did. They did that. Yeah, they did. When we come forward, we will continue this robust dialogue. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. Before the fire, Altadena was a real-life Wakanda. A thriving black oasis just 15 miles from downtown Los Angeles. 80% black residents were homeowners, building intergenerational wealth against the odds. It was a hub of black-owned businesses, churches, and cultural institutions. It stood as a symbol of black resilience and economic independence. Then, in a matter of hours, it was gone. The fire tore through homes, swallowed businesses, and left behind a painful void. But was it just an unstoppable act of nature, or was negligence involved? Did officials ignore early warning signs? Were the response efforts delayed or insufficient? What role, if any, did corporate or government failures play? Survivors are demanding answers. Don't miss our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall. The Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting, on Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center, 1081 North Fair Oaks in Pasadena. Join Dominic DePrima, Nee Cordelai Corte, James Farr, Tavis Smiley, and a panel of survivors, community leaders, and experts as we commemorate day 100 since the wildfires flared up. And we discuss where we go from here. It's KBLA's Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting Town Hall, Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center in Pasadena. Light refreshments to follow. Admission is free, but sign-up is required at our KBLA1580.com website. The first 100 attendees will receive a complimentary air purifier. This is a community call to action, brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh yeah, Doc, and as you lay out, we're laying out that Harvard. Thank you for changing your mind, but as you said, they are no vanguard. Many are hoping, though, Doc, because of what Harvard just decided to do, for the reasons they decided to do it, people are not really digging in as much. But the fact that they did stand up,
Yes.
that other universities may follow suit, and other universities very well may follow suit, Doc. That's one point. And the second point is, this is bigger in our dialogue with our audience. This is bigger than Harvard. See, this is a microcosm of the type of gangsterism, to use your words, that the Trump administration is willing to use to try to force people, individuals, and institutions to bend to the will of government. I mean, that's fascism, that's authoritarianism, if I've ever seen it. I mean, sometimes I got a question, is this still the United States of America? And then I think about it, yep, this is the United States of America.
No, you're absolutely right. And I just love your clarity in terms of getting us to see what is actually going on, because we have to be able to keep track of the best and the worst of any institution, any community, and ourselves. But there's an illusion that's taking place, and Harvard unfortunately does presuppose this illusion. One is the illusion that the Trump administration is fundamentally concerned about precious Jewish brothers and sisters in the universities. That is a lie. It's a lie. They don't have no deep concern about Jewish students. Not at all. Look at the 381 books they just eliminated from the Naval Academy, and they're celebrating that. But Hitler's Mein Kampf is still there.
That part, Doc. That part.
It's still there. So Hitler's all right, but Toni Morrison's not. Oh, come
or
on.
Maya Angelou. They done took why the cage bird sings.
Exactly. And that's just one small example. We ought to be concerned about every student. Jewish, Palestinian, Arab, black, white, red, yellow, indigenous. Yes. Are there anti-Jewish sentiments at Harvard? Yes. Are there anti-Jewish sentiments in other colleges? Yes. Are there anti-black sentiments? Yes. Are there anti-Palestinian? Yes. Are they anti-Arab? Yes. Let's be concerned about forms of discrimination and degradation across the board. By singling out just one particular group, and the Trump administration wants us to think that that's their primary motivation. No. And then they want us to think the second illusion is, and we want to make sure that there's a pursuit for truth. That's what we're concerned about. And it's those ideologies, those leftist ideologies that indoctrinating these students. Trump and company don't give a damn about no truth. They don't give a damn about the Constitution. They don't give a damn about rule of law. We're dealing with gangsters here. And we have to be honest about that. And unfortunately, these law firms and others who are willing to sit down and act as if somehow Trump is fundamentally concerned about Jewish students, it's just a lie. It's just a lie. And you can't be seduced. Even my dear brother, Bill Maher, I was listening to Bill Maher the other day, and he told me he went to the White House and Trump was so gracious and he's not as crazy as I thought. I say, brother Bill, you got stronger discerning powers than that. Mussolini was charming. Hitler could talk about Wagner's music, and he could talk about Friedberg's Caspar David Friedrich's landscape paintings because he went to art school. But they're still gangsters in their orientation, in their behavior, in their policies. Don't be seduced.
That part, Doc. Yeah, being seduced. Of course he's charming. Of course he is. You go in there, walking in there, that's a given, but measure that so-called charm with what he's doing with the power that he's been handed temporarily, because this is temporary, even though he's going to try to fight for a third term. This country better wake up and make sure that does not happen. It is against the Constitution. And for the party that is always throwing the rule of law up in people's face, they always willing to just skirt around it whenever it suits them. Doc, just a few more framing points from NBC News. Harvard was founded, and I know you know this, everybody might not necessarily know this, a century before the United States, and is by far, most people probably do know this, the wealthiest university in the country and the most influential in the world. It boasts more alumni who who've become U.S. presidents, Supreme Court justices, members of Congress, living billionaires, and Nobel Peace Prize winners than any other school. Now, I don't want to burst a bubble, but all of that is because the system is rigged, but I'm put that in the parking lot. It ain't nothing that spectacular about Harvard that would make it be able to have these numbers, which are impressive, but you got to look at the why and the how, who gets in, who can't get in, and who the system buoys rather, and who the system just leaves out there to float on their own. That's the only reason. Howard University could boast the same thing if they had the same level playing field.
Oh, and not only that, I mean, and Harvard's got some magnificent people like the Du Boises and others. Some of the best.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Robert Girards and Neil Browns and others who went to Harvard. And I had a grand time at Harvard, but Harvard ain't produced no James Baldwin. Harvard ain't produced no Curtis Mayfield, no Aretha Franklin. Harvard ain't produced no Ralph Ellison. No, Harvard ain't produced no Toni Morrison. Now, Howard did. Ooh, but genius comes in a lot of different forms. Harvard has produced some magnificent folk. T.S. Eliot ain't no joke. But in the end, it's not just about these individuals being produced. It's about how these institutions function in relation to, at this moment, the fascists in the White House. And if we're going to tell the truth about these institutions, we give them credit when it's due. And I'm giving them credit as you rightly give them credit. Stand up. But we also tell the truth. You capitulated first, and now you stand up. Therefore, it doesn't make you the most reliable vanguard in terms of this struggle that we need to sustain with resistance in the face of the expanding fascism.
That's right, Doc. And again, it is a grand institution, no doubt. But I'm just saying they had some advantages that many other. That's the only thing, I'm trying to submit that if Howard had the same advantages that a Harvard has, then they would be able to list off even all them people you listed, Doc. They would have a whole host of former presidents, Supreme Court justices, members of Congress, and living billionaires and Nobel Peace Prize as too. Let's not act like Harvard is not separate and apart from the American empire, to quote the great Dr.
But also one last point on that is, see, the major forces for good, like the Martin Luther King Jr.'s out of Morehouse, or the Fannie Lou Amos out of no college house, but out of her house and her mama's house. You see, the presidents, the chief justices of the Supreme Court, they haven't been major forces for good in the making and shaping of America when it comes to poor and working people. They just, you know what I mean? They just haven't. They just haven't.
Yeah. We're putting the value on the wrong thing, Doc. I think that's what you're saying. And the Trump administration immediately they cut or froze in funding to Harvard. Immediately have done that again, trying to browbeat people into doing what they want them to do. And they've done that to several universities. Probably more to come. I do hope. We both do hope, Doc, that this is a wake-up call for other colleges and universities to stand up and also to stand together. If they do this thing together,
that's what they got to come together.
And be a force. Be a force. The American people will be behind the people. I believe that the majority of the American people will also agree that President Trump and his administration overreached. This ain't his job. As we were talking about before, Doc, of all the catastrophic needs or occurrences in this country and the world, and you got time to sit up here and try to police universities and colleges in this way. It is wrong. It's definitely wrong, but it's immoral too, because that he could be. Why don't you have the same fervor to increase the minimum wage or have universal child care in this country, as child care is strangling working class people who can't afford, when different spouses or parents got to make a decision about when they work, how they work, if they work, because if they got a job that's not paying living wage, the child care is going to outprice the money that they bring in home. How about that? How about the party of family values actually push policies that value families?
Value families. Ooh, that's just expecting too much, though, isn't it? But part of the challenge too is that when you have a dictator's mentality, so that you think you can dictate who ought to appear at the Kennedy Center, you ought to dictate what kind of legal practices ought to be promoted by Wall Street firms. You want to dictate what kind of courses are actually taught and what's on the curriculum of the professors at Harvard, University of Pennsylvania, Columbia, and other places. That's just a dictator's mentality. And a dictator's mentality flows from that of a gangster who's throughout life feels that he can say and do anything and get away with it, and he's been able to do it. And now we find ourselves in a situation in which the head of the most powerful empire in the history of the world and the most powerful nation is run by a dictatorial figure who's got these deep gangster identities and proclivities.
There it is, Doc. Well, maybe the president of Wesleyan can convene.
Brother Ross, Brother Ross.
Yeah, President Ross needs to convene the other universities and colleges in the United States of America and say, we rolling together, we rolling strong. I mean, that would be magnificent, Doc. They can get ahead of this. Some other colleges and universities can get ahead of this by linking together. If President Ross is listening to Truth Time, as President Ross should be, go on and convene them folks. Show them how it's done. Y'all get together. Look, Doc, they can sell, they can do some fish fries and all kinds of stuff. They take up some of that communal stuff, because I really do believe that other type donors, maybe even us grassroots donors, but as well as those ruling class type folks who can endow, might just, if you got a few who got a conscience, could all come together and say, you know what, we're going to help y'all weather this storm right here, because this ain't right.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, they should come together. Oh my God, I would love to see it. I would love to see a headline saying President Roth has convened a table of all of the universities and college. All are welcome, and let's come and figure out how to work this thing out.
That's exactly right. And we just make sure that Howard and Morehouse and Spelman and Lamont and Morgan State and all of them bringing in some rich insight from the Black tradition as well as other traditions, Fordham with the Catholic tradition, Brandeis, Jewish tradition, and so forth.
Yeah, I can see it. They need to do it. They need to do it, Doc. I tell you, these really are some heavy times, but we're going to get through them. We will definitely get through them. And speaking of getting through them, day 100 and counting for the Altadena Eaton fire.
Yes. Good God Almighty. And today is the convening, right? Today is the event.
Today is it. From let me remind folks, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., the town hall that is led by none other, again, lifting up our dear leader, Mr. Brother Tavis Smiley himself, hosting this town hall tonight. People can go to the website and get the information about the location, but it's from 4 to 6 p.m. tonight. Just go to kblatalk.com and they can get the information. Let me take, it's not talk is not in there. kbla1580.com, kbla1580.com, and you can get all of the information as you sign up. Again, the event is free and open to the public, but you do have to register, and we are going to be giving out air purifiers and also gift cards to folks. Our network, our station, Doc, has been doing a really good job of making sure that Altadena, Eaton, that they are not forgotten in terms of what has happened in the crushing blow. I mean, certainly those wildfires hurt every family, individual, business that was caught in the wake, and it has an extra special pain to the Black community, per usual.
Absolutely. And Brother Tavis, just nobody like him in terms of genuine solidarity, genuine love, genuine care, genuine concern about the brothers and sisters in Altadena. James Farr, with his eloquent self, has his own show talking about this. Just saw him on TV, LA TV, sharp as can be. But this is a kind of consistent, continuous thing. And we are just very blessed to be with a station that has this kind of view of the world, zeroing in on the least of these. We don't confine it to chocolate folk, but we start there.
Always got to start on the chocolate
Got
side.
to
When we come
Break-
forward, we will continue. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
So I'm not driving you, man.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Former President Obama praised Harvard for setting an example for higher ed institutions, while President Trump threatened to revoke its tax-exempt status after Harvard rejected demands to overhaul its policies. Trump had already rescinded over $2 billion in grants and warned of further action. The NAACP is suing the U.S. Department of Education over its threat to cut funding for schools that support diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, arguing that the proposed reductions violate civil rights laws. Black Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock joined a weekly rally outside the CDC in Atlanta, protesting recent funding cuts by the Trump administration. Warnock emphasized the disproportionate impact on red states, stating now is not the time to be silent. The Department of Justice, led by Attorney General Pam Bondi, is suing Maine for refusing to ban transgender athletes from women's sports. The lawsuit follows the 2-month public feud between President Trump and Governor Janet Mills. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Imagine a photograph of your favorite place in California. Then right in the middle of it, one piece of litter. Litter has no place in our lives, not one piece. Together, let's change that. Clean California. Zero litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers beat Colorado Tuesday 6-2 on Jackie Robinson Day. Every player from both teams wore a number 42 jersey in honor of Robinson, Major League Baseball's first black player. Before the game, the Dodgers and Colorado players gathered together to hear Lakers legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar talk about the importance of Robinson's legacy. Kareem called President Trump's policies on diversity, equity, and inclusion an undercover reason to discriminate. Robinson became a civil rights advocate after he retired from baseball in 1957 and met with Presidents Dwight Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, and Richard Nixon. Robinson would not be happy with the current president. Robinson would be encouraged by the fact that both of Major League Baseball's black managers are right here in Southern California. The Dodgers' Dave Roberts and Ron Washington with the Angels. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Shaka Khan, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Stephanie Mills. The BPC presents the Queens. 4 Legends, 1 Stage Tour. Shaka Khan, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, and Stephanie Mills. The Queens. 4 Legends, 1 Stage. Mother's Day, May 11th at Kia Forum. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.
Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, and it's almost time to celebrate KBLA's 4th anniversary, coming up Juneteenth 2025. We'll be marking the achievement with 4 key community events, including a special symposium, luncheon, and brain trust hosted by me entitled The State of Black Women in Los Angeles. Keep it locked here for details on how to join us for this groundbreaking symposium examining the unique challenges, triumphs, and contributions of Black women in Los Angeles in the areas of education, healthcare, community leadership, cultural and political contributions. This public convocation will provide a critical forum to address the specific social, economic, and political realities facing Black women in LA today. We'll go live with a radio broadcast and YouTube live stream, a public discussion, and a private dialogue with some of LA's most impactful women. It's an affirmation of Black women standing at the intersection of race and gender in times of adversity while demonstrating remarkable resilience and leadership. We will listen and we will speak out and be heard, all in service of finding opportunities and solutions. Please plan to join us in celebrating our 4th anniversary by amplifying the voices of Black women. For more on our symposium and 4 events celebrating 4 years on the air, simply stay tuned or keep an eye on KBLA1580.com and help make this Juneteenth more jubilant with all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Beautiful indeed. And yes, we are. We're right here, Doc. We're going to dip into the live chat that's percolating and then continue our conversation about Altadena, 100 days and counting. And people can just tune in too. They don't, if you can't make it physically, you can definitely tune in by using the app. So make sure that you download the app. You can listen to the town hall from your car, from your home. But if you're in the area, just come on down. So we have Daryl Evans in our chat. Hi to both of you. Governor Newsom and the state of California is suing President Trump over his tariffs. Yeah, we heard that. We talked about that briefly. I want to say it was last week or so, but he is, and he's definitely saying, because the state of California's economy is so big. I think it's the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world. California got a lot of pull, has a lot of pull. So we'll see. Now, we can't do this thing state by state because we are the United States of America. However, it is good to see a governor, flexing and really pushing back. And hopefully this unity thing that Dr. Russ and I are talking about, that's just strategically and tactically the wisest thing to do. So if Democratic governors and even Republican governors, if they see the light, if these states don't want to be bullied, they need to unite. But California is uniquely positioned, Doc, to fight back.
Absolutely. That's my home state. Well, I was born in Oklahoma, but I grew up in Sacramento, so I'm always excited to see brothers and sisters of any color in California.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being part of the resistance.
Being part of the resistance. We got I Examine Life. Welcome, I Examine Life. Many thanks for your work, Professor and Senator Praying Hands. Please tell us your plan, Professor West, your plans for the next election. And also, would you both be open to joining Bernie and Ocasio-Cortez to fight U.S. gangsterism? Prayer hands.
Oh, I'll fight any form of gangsterism. U.S., Russian, Iranian, Israeli, any kind of gangsterism. Absolutely. And I applaud Brother Bernie and AOC being out there. It's just that I just think it's in so many ways, they in so many ways they're trying to put pressure on a Democratic Party, which, as you know, I just have no sense of real possibility for it. And so I wonder what the end game is going to be over time. You know what I mean? That's the thing about it. And I have a much deeper trust in Brother Bernie than I do Sister AOC. I must throw that out there too. But that's a whole radio show,
I understand, Doc. I've heard that time and time again. But yeah, bringing people together, making them aware is a good thing. What is missing is a plan. There is no plan. You're just getting people together across the country. They got to be led somewhere. That is what is missing, and that needs to be done. I mean, the Freedom Budget for All Americans, I think that is absolutely the way to galvanize and organize people to
so crucial.
end result. an end result. But yeah, and fighting the gangsterism, absolutely. Everybody has a role to play in fighting this
Absolutely.
gangsterism. We got Morris Phillips. Good afternoon, Dr. West and Senator Turner. Good afternoon, Morris Phillips, one of our regulars. I examine life, love, and peace. Yeah. I think a lot of people want that, Doc. A lot of people don't get to express that, but if you would ask most people, do they want war and horror or do they want love and peace? I think most folks will pick love and peace.
No, that's true. That's very true. That is so very true. But it takes so much courage to love and it's so easy to hate.
Yeah, it really is. It definitely is. Morris Phillips has knowledge of self is in the house 999. Just put up 3 prayer emojis. Thank you for that. We need that all the time. Brother Morris Phillips is back in. Dr. West, aren't you surprised that corporate America hasn't attempted to remove Trump from the White House?
No, I'm not surprised at all because he's cutting their taxes. As long as the stock market is high, their profits are flowing, which means that their cash is still readily available and their luxurious life is still something that they can pursue. Corporate America will accommodate itself to any form of gangsterism as long as they can make their money and preserve their profits. So I'm not surprised at all. But one can reach a point where you get internal strife within the corporate elite, and we haven't reached that point. But yes, we could reach a point where they begin to go at each other's throats, like Musk could go at Trump's throat within the billionaire club.
Sure. Yeah, there's a possibility it could happen, but you're right, Doc, it hasn't happened yet. And then Morris Phillips is letting us know that Senator Grassley had a tough town hall meeting the other day, and those folks were white, arguing on behalf of an immigrant. Now that's coming together. Oh, yeah. People waking up. Yeah, people waking up. They all catching a lot of grief at these town halls, both Republicans and Democrats.
No, I've noticed that. I've noticed that, but I'm telling you though, if I just wish that there was a kind of spiritual awakening of love and justice on the vanilla side of town, because as misled as so many of our fellow citizens are of all colors, it's when white citizens still vote majority for a fascist like Trump, male or female.
Yeah.
And you say to yourself, like, well, good God, some kind of spiritual and moral work needs to be done on that side of town, that side of the country. And of
No,
course,
it's no doubt.
churches, 80% of the white evangelical Christians voting for a fascist. And they go on and doing Holy Week, they don't feel as if that radically calls into question their sense of what it is to be a Christian. What kind of country we live in? Well, America has a long history of that.
That part, Doc. I mean, they use the Bible against our ancestors.
The idol too often at the center, and Jesus is pushed aside.
That's right. I mean, I think they doing what they always have done. I mean, we look at the historic record, Christianity was used as a blunt force object to justify the enslavement of our ancestors. Period.
That's
you know,
true.
they only quoting certain scriptures of the Bible, not others, and telling us that this is the way God wanted it, that we are a higher species of animal, and that it was their manifest destiny and all that kind of stuff to do this to us. Slaves, obey your masters, for this is right in the Lord, and all of that. Oh no, Doc. The evangelicals are right where they usually are, making me think about the letter from the Birmingham jail. When Dr. King was admonishing these so-called Christian folks.
That's exactly right. But isn't that something? To love Black people in the deepest sense is the very thing that is so often taboo among Christians who's supposed to be devoted to love. Boy, that's still white supremacy cut so deep. Oh my God.
It's in full control. It really is. And when you really think about that thing, it's heavy to understand that, you know. And go ahead, Doc.
I was just thinking, I was talking to our dear brother Kalanji Changa, who I have such deep love and respect for. We were talking earlier today, and the ways in which Black people, with all of our creativity, sense of humor, have been able to preserve our sanity and dignity in the face of the very pathology of white supremacy that we talking about. That's what we accent: the resilience, the humor, the humanity, the creativity, the genius, the irrepressibility. You see, they can't, in the end, they can never crush us, never break our spirits, never dampen our fire.
And I think that bothers many of them, because I think any other group of people would have been crushed, would have been destroyed. Not only are we surviving, in some cases, we hit thrive every now and then. We're not totally there as a people, but all of the forces that come against us, and we still are beautiful, brilliant, creative, exciting. You know, America what would it be? Be bland. It wouldn't have no Lawry's season salt without black people. Doug, you know, we the flavor, baby. We the architects and we the flavor. Okay, that's just what it is. And they marvel. I mean, people who believe in a white supremacist mindset. So if you don't believe in that mindset, then we're not talking to you. But those who believe in that mindset of which this country was created, they marvel at our, and I want to use the word you use all the time, our resilience. When we come forward, we're going to narrow down and talk about some of the challenges on rebuilding Altadena. And don't forget about the town hall tonight. You are listening to Truth Time.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community, educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Truth crushed to earth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, you are. Here we are. So Altadena, Doc, a lot of, speaking of resilience, a resiliency and pushing for this community to be able to rebuild. They're going through right now some of the stuff, and just reminding people that if you do not go physically, if you want to go physically, you got to make sure that you sign up and you got to register by going to KBLA1580.com. Also, though, you can go to the website or pull up the app and you can listen to the town hall if for some reason you cannot make it there physically. This is going to be quite a night, and our network, our station has really been in the thick with the families and the people who love these families in this community. Because as they are fighting and pushing to rebuild, the greater there's some obstacles. You know, one article was talking about the soaring water bills. I mean, who would charge? This is when government really should step in and say, oh no, nobody will be charged until we get back to normal. But that's not happening in Altadena.
There's too many people who are so willing to take advantage of people when they're in weak situations. And you see the markets in terms of the rents and housing, as a result of people being pushed out. I mean, why would people just want to be so cruel and so greedy and so insensitive and indifferent and callous to people suffering? See, that's part of the spiritual work and moral work that needs to be done. And that's why we hit it over and over again, not just on Truth Time, but Brother Tavis hits it throughout his station with all the various voices from Dominique. We go on and on, Jesse Jackson Jr. and others.
Yeah, no, we do. And let it be known, unapologetically progressive and unapologetically starting on the chocolate side. So we got some examples here of residents just they displaced and they getting their water bills and stuff. So Swanson and her husband couldn't believe their eyes when they saw the amount they owed to their Lincoln Avenue Water Company bill in March. Swanson said they usually owe around $50 or $60. However, when they scanned their latest bill, they were shocked to learn they owed $384.46. We can't figure it out, Swanson said. Go figure.
Wow.
I mean, really.
From $50 to $386.
Almost $400
in 1 month.
They couldn't believe it.
Boy,
They not even there, right? Swanson and her husband moved out of the Altadena home on Glen Rose Avenue before the Eaton fire as they prepared the house for sale. They moved out, and they just cannot believe the fact that the residents there are being taken advantage of in that way. So in other words, they not even there. I think the article reads that they have been gone. Oh yeah, we moved down the Palm Desert in December, she said. So again, this particular example, they not even using any water at all.
Wow.
And being charged this way.
Well, that's capitalism out of control, isn't it?
It is. It really, really is. Taking advantage of people when they are going through some of the most toughest moments of their lives. And that is why having people like Brother Tavis and so many others who are unified and really working to push. We got the California Black Freedom Fund doing the daggone thing down there in California as well. Love to see them and our KBLA 1580 unite on the work for the people of Altadena. It's just something that just has to be done. But to see there's profit in I think Mayor Jackson would call these people poverty pimps.
Ooh, that's what it is. No, I would call them small scale gangsters,
You both walking down the same street, meaning there's
right.
profit in poverty. Don't make no mistake. There's somebody making some money off of other people's struggles
and misery. You are absolutely right. One of the wonderful principles I think that animates and motivates Brother Tavis and his station is that.
Doc, you know what, Doc? Hold that. Motivate Brother Tavis and the station. You're listening to Truth Time. When we come forward, we'll continue.
A safe place to go live. Place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Love and truth indeed. Doc, you were saying that the thing about Brother Tavis Smiley, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, yeah, I was talking about what animates and motivates. We can even use Supreme Court's recent language, what facilitates and effectuates this station. If we don't want anybody to ever feel as if they're abandoned, all alone, nobody cares, nobody concerned. And that's for our Black people in Altadena. It could be our brothers and sisters in Haiti. It could be Muslims in China. It could be Roma in Europe. It could be Jews in Pittsburgh. It could be Palestinians wrestling with genocide in Gaza. Any people who left out, that's where we go. That's how we roll.
That's how we roll.
That's how we was raised and reared by our mamas and daddies.
That's it at all times. That's not going to change. And in a more positive direction, that we were talking about the water bills, on a more positive trajectory, if you will, Southern California Edison announced a comprehensive $860 to $925 million plan on Friday to rebuild electrical infrastructure in Altadena and Malibu communities devastated by January's wildfires and windstorms, with a major focus on undergrounding power lines to prevent future disasters. Like sometimes out of bad stuff, some good stuff can happen. You know, hopefully this community is rebuilt bigger, better, stronger than ever.
That's true. Every crisis got opportunity and dangers.
Yes, it does. There is absolutely could be some promise in the problem. The president went on to say, we are operating with heightened urgency to build back stronger. We need more folks to operate with heightened urgency. That's a word that preaches that. Heightened urgency. In times like this, we need heightened urgency.
Oh, we didn't live
Reminds me of Dr. King. The fierce urgency
around that thing.
Come on. The fierce urgency of now. It sounds like King-like, you know, the fierce urgency of now. Heightened urgency. So this indeed is the day, folks. This Wednesday, April 16th, is day 100 since the wildfires erupted in Altadena. This station, as Dr. West and I have been laying out the entire hour, and because the night is the night, we're just putting some extra on it. If you're just joining us, please make sure that you go to kbla1580.com to find out more information about the town hall tonight and how, if you are not directly impacted, we are all indirectly impacted. And this is really the time where people have to come together and show that we truly are our sisters and our brothers' keepers. I mean, that's real. You know, am I my sister or my brother's keepers? Absolutely, you are that. Well, thank you so much. We count it all joy that we were together today. Dr. Weston, I want you to know your purpose, understand your purpose, seek your purpose, live on purpose. Above all, though, remember, titles are good, but purpose is better. Until next time.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.